Hey everybody, W here with another Stratego game analysis. This is game number 20 of the Mystery Player series with the flag up front. And currently 18 and 1. And we made 300 yellow. So it took us 18 wins to get to 300. Alright, my opponent is pretty bad. Again, this is 192 Bronze Lieutenant. Again, a lot of wins, but a lot of losses. So he probably doesn't understand the game. But in this game, I play as bad as I can play. So it's probably the worst game I played, I think, in the series. Maybe the first game was pretty bad, too. But let's see how we do. We'll go right to the game. So it looks like, I'm playing J4. Okay. Let's go and get started. All right, my opponent goes first. It seems like they always go first in this series. I almost got cocky. You got to go up and over when you have a flag here. No, he had a scout here. I could have lost if I was on A4. So we got lucky there. So I usually use this miner just to bluff scouts. I hope a scout will hit it, and then I usually pull it back. You don't really want to scout with your miners. All right, so we've got half his scouts so far, so that's good. One more, so he could have scouted me here, I guess. I think that scout came from here. So we could have lost on the first move. Wow, going through all his scouts. Man, he's used 7 scouts already, and he hasn't found much information. That's the problem when you use your scouts early. You usually don't find much. So it's usually not going to help you too much. You really want to save at least 2 scouts for the end game. Late, middle game, end game. You need those scouts to find the spy. Okay, so he used all his scouts. So right now I'm excited. This is bad. When you have an open flag and your opponent uses all their scouts in the beginning of the game, you're super happy. And now it makes your spy much stronger too. Your spy can roam the board. So that's the negative when you use all your scouts. He's used 8 scouts. I've only used 3. So maybe he has a symmetrical system. Maybe this is a bomb over here. If we find a bomb over here. I haven't tested this, and I'd like to clear this column. but I just didn't have a chance to test this. Wow. Okay, so this is bad too. You know, bringing your marshal up when your opponent still had 5 scouts is it's just dumb. Uh, you're probably going to get scouted, and you don't want to reveal your marshal to a scout. So this is why this player is under 200 after what 1,600 games. Uh, you just don't do things like that. You have to, if you're not going to be a marshal blitzer and do a real brave attack, you have to keep your marshal hidden for as long as possible till the right moment. You don't want to just walk up there when your opponent has all these scouts left, because now you just give the advantage to your opponent. They can make all sorts of plans. You have to start to play defense. Your opponent can now make plans for a general counterattack, and you can be in a lot of trouble right now. So we have to keep an eye on the marshal. I'm probably gonna lose it, but you don't want to lose the marshal. Once you found it, you don't want to have to scout it again. So now, see, I'm thinking, when you find a marshal, it's a good time to think about what you want to do. You have to make a plan. I haven't really found much. I know this piece moved, and this piece moved. So we have to find targets for the general. That's basically what you do when you find the marshal. You have to find targets for your general. And your marshal, too. Your marshal can go up and attack. But, your marshal has to worry about the spy. Now I screw up here. I should have just fired the 9 into this instead of letting him take the marshal take the scout. That was dumb. I wasted a piece. I should have just fired it in here. But I really wanted to get away. I wanted to come down all the way with my major, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's why I did that. So I decided I'm going to lose my advantage. Unfortunately, this is a problem when you have a flag up front. I have this huge advantage of knowing his marshal, and he doesn't know mine. But unfortunately, because with the flag up front, I have to swap. He's got pieces coming down, and I have to protect my flag. So that's the negative here. I just had to do it. And then it's going to become a swap game. So this gets exciting, right? He could lotto my flag and win. So now you figure the first move the player moves is a general. And sure enough, it's the general. Now, what would be a good move? What you have to do when it becomes a swap game, when you take the 2 highest pieces off the board, and then it becomes a race to swap each other's pieces, maybe to find a higher piece find a good piece, a good target before they can swap with you, so you get the lead. What you have to do is you have to look at all the pieces you've moved, because they all become targets. So I think I moved this, I moved this, I moved this piece, I moved this piece, and I moved this piece. So you have to remember all the pieces you move, because your opponent probably does, or at least most of them. And then you got to try to protect them, or you got to try to attack. So now, what would be a good piece to move right now and why? Pause the video and tell me what piece should I move and why. And I think if you figure this out, you might be on your way to becoming a good gold or platinum player. What piece should I move? Pause the video and think about it. Okay, the one piece that's in trouble right now is this captain. This move, he doesn't know what it is, which is good because he might think it's a colonel. But what I really need to do is move this piece up so I can avoid the 2 square rule. Because if his colonel, let's say if this is his colonel and it goes up here, then I'm dead if I stay here. Because then all he has to do is go over here and he can get my captain. So what I need to do is move this piece up, and now if this is a colonel, it's not going to matter, but if this is a colonel or if this is a colonel, I need to get up here before he comes over here to get me in the 2 square rule. Because if I move here and then he moves here, then I can move this piece over and I'm safe. So that's the move to do. So he knows my major, so I have to protect my major. So you can see I didn't think about that. See, now if this is a colonel, my captain is dead. Or if this is a major, my captain is dead. So now it's too late, but I'm hoping he doesn't know the 2 square rule, and he doesn't. And that's probably why he's a below 200 player after 1,600 games. If he knew the 2 square rule, this happens to be his colonel. So we'll go back. See, when he goes over here, we're on the same column, and we're basically even now. So now, see, now he could go over here now. I went over here 1, he could go over here 1. Then I go back 2, he goes back 2, I go back 3, he goes back 3. I can't go back to this square. I'm caught because I can't go down. He can't go this way. So he would have gotten my captain. And in a swap game, that's pretty good to be up a captain. Because he's down a lieutenant. But he is up 2 sergeants. So that would have been good to get my captain. But unfortunately, he did not know the square rule. That's why it's the 2 square rule. So that's why it's so important. And the 2 square rule, all it says is you can only go 3 times, on 3 consecutive terms, back and forth between 2 squares. So you can go 1, 2, 3, and then you have to move somewhere else. So if he would have known the 2 square rule, he would have got my captain, and then he would have taken the lead. And I should have known to move this up and over because this was a target. Ouch. That's painful. But I thought about this for a while. So now I'm up a colonel. And one thing you should do, this is a good tip. When you're playing beginners and they lose a really good high piece, like a marshal, general, or captain, let's say they run it into a bomb. What you might want to do, I didn't do it in this case, but what you might want to do is pause for 15 seconds before you make your next move. Or maybe pause for 20 seconds before you make your next move. What you want to do is give your opponent a chance to look at the graveyard here to make sure that they know they're losing. I'm sure he knows after he hit his colonel he's in a lot of trouble. But if you give them enough time to see the scoreboard, to see how bad they're losing, they might actually resign. Or maybe they'll disconnect. But at least they'll give you the win. So then you don't have to play anymore. So if you give them some time to look at the scoreboard, they might decide to quit. But if you play real fast after they make a disastrous move, they might keep on playing, and that can cause you some problems, and you might actually lose because the game can turn very quickly. So I would pause after they make a really bad move, and hope they quit, because then you can play somebody else, start a new game, and then have the win, and you'll be happy. So I didn't think this was a bad move. At first I did. Part of me thinks it is, part of me doesn't. This is really a stats play. The stats say, I think this is like maybe a 6% chance of being a bomb. And if you go to my blog, I did an analysis on over 84,000 game setups. And the bomb allocation on each row is there's usually only like a half a bomb on the front row, one bomb on the second row, two bombs on the third row, and 2.5 bombs on the last row. So there's usually not that many bombs on the front row. And he already found a bomb on this row. So if you find a bomb on the front row, the odds of another bomb are really a decrease, unless the person is a Marshall Blitzer and they bomb off, two sides, or maybe they bomb off one side. But the odds of finding another bomb here, I think, are really low. I think it's normally like 6-7%. I have to look. You can check on my blog. I have it's the first post. You have to go to the bottom of the page on my blog, the first post, and I have a chart of where all the pieces are allocated, the percentage. So, and I think it's like around 6% chance of a bomb here on average. But when you find another bomb on this row, that probably drops. So this move was he probably had a 98, 97% chance of success. So that really wasn't a lotto, really, if you think of it that way. 98% chance of getting a piece is pretty good in a swap game. But anyway, in this case, and then that's the bad part. He didn't have any scouts left. So that's why you want to save your scouts to look before you attack. So then you have 100% success instead of 98%, because that 2 or 3% chance of a bomb can really hurt you. So, like I said, I didn't think this was such a bad move, but he still had some sergeants left. He still had some minors left, and some lieutenants left. So he really didn't have to do this. You have to be patient. That's a big problem with beginners. They're not patient enough. They move too fast, and they don't give themselves time to think. And if he would have known the 2 square rule, he would have been up a captain, and then he might have been hesitant to hit this then with his colonel. So anyway, so this is why this person is struggling to get above 200. When you do things like this, it makes it hard for you to win. All right. So now the bad part with myself here is, a lot of times you get complacent when a player loses a high piece. And I get disinterested. I get bored. I think, well, the game's over, and you can just go through the motions. But really, you have to really concentrate all the way through the game, because if you don't, you can wind up losing. All right, so let's see. Now we'll go back for a second. After I took this general and I moved up my colonel, we'll remember this piece moved here, right? And I thought this might have been a major. He was worried about my colonel, and he ran and tucked it away. So we have to remember that this piece moved, and I did not remember that. So my memory failed me here. So when your memory fails you, the game can turn out to be a disaster. So let's go back to where he blew himself up. So now he blew his one colonel up, so he has one colonel left. So in the next move, it's real easy. You can assume he's going to move his colonel. And you can assume that this is a colonel. And now, all I have to do, you have to know now he's in lotto mode. And he's going this way, which is good, which is probably why I didn't pay too much attention to him. I thought he would hit one of these 5 bombs. But, you know, when you lotto, you can get lucky too. So all I had to do, see, I couldn't chase him with this piece because I have to worry about the flag in case this isn't the kernel. But most of the time, the person's going to move, the beginner is going to move their high piece. They're going to give it away, which makes it really easy to read their board. So all I had to do in this case was move my my captain here over and down, and then play defense. When your opponent is in lotto mode, you want to play defense. So then all I had to do was bring my colonel over here, and he's not going to get much over here. And then I probably would swap, and maybe the game would be over. So, but I probably wasn't paying much attention to this game after he blew up his colonel. And I decided to go on offense. And you don't want to do that. You always want to play defense first. You'll win a lot of games when you play defense first when they're in lotto mode. When you start attacking going forward, you can get screwed. So now I'm checking this piece that moved with my spy. So I'm going to waste my spy. He's lottoing. I hope he would go down here. But now he got my major. And now things are... And I go forward, which is that was really dumb, because I have to protect all this over here. And he was probably dumb too, because these pieces have moved. I think this piece moved, this piece moved. So he should have gone over here and attacked some of these pieces, because this looked like my strong side. So this is where the good pieces are. He probably thought this was a kernel. Maybe he thought this was a kernel. So he should have attacked this way, but I'm glad he didn't. And I'm up here scouting a piece that's already moved because of my bad memory. And like I said, I probably wasn't paying attention to this game anymore. So yeah, we really screwed this. This was 2 minutes of terrible Stratego. So he's doing really good lottoing. You know, this spot is probably not likely a bomb. So at least I'm glad I did find a major to make up for this major loss. So, and that's good. He knew this was a bomb, so lottoing behind a bomb is usually pretty good. It's only till you face maybe some high-level gold or platinum players where they have double vertical bombs. So now I come down, I'm like, uh-oh, I better play defense. But, you know, he really was doing really well on his lotto here. It's a good thing I had a big lead. So even here, I decided to attack instead of just going with the 2 square rule. I decided to, let's see what he has here. And unfortunately, I get lucky with my captain. So I lucked out there that it wasn't a bomb. So that was 2 minutes of just terrible Stratego play by myself. All I had to do was play defense first, and the game would have probably been over. And now I'm really glad he lost all his scouts. So now we move the major over to protect the flag and free up this colonel. And now he decides to swap. And I'm not so sure I would have swapped yet. He's still down a colonel. And even after that lotto binge, you know, he got 4 pieces. But basically, he only got a lieutenant, a sergeant, and a minor. And he did get the major, but then I got his major, so that cancels that out. So he really didn't get too much. And if we look at the scoreboard now, I'm still up a colonel. And now he's up 3 sergeants and 2 minors. So I have to worry about that. That a lot of my small pieces are lost there. So I have to make that up now. So I think he might have kept his colonel instead of swapping. But now he gives me a piece here, which I'm so grateful because I have to make up those 5 smaller pieces on the scoreboard here. So, and now I get a captain. So now I'm thinking this is a major. And I'm like, yeah, that was really good. So now I'm up a colonel and a captain. So, but I think this is a major now because, why else would you give up a captain? And it turns out that was a pretty good move. He brought in a minor. So, normally you would think that is a major coming down, why you would give up a captain. But he wanted to try to see if he could win the game, which is a pretty good move. Now, that screwed me up here because there goes my double vertical bomb. You always hate when that happens, when the miner gets 2 bombs. Yeah, I was probably pretty mad that he's going to get this. All right, now pause the video here. What piece would you take the miner with and why? Pause the video and tell me what piece. Do some critical thinking. Would you take it with the lieutenant or would you take it with the miner? Okay, let's see. I decided to take it with the lieutenant. I think you could make a case for either one. I'm not really sure which one is best. The one reason I didn't want to take it with the miner is because I only have 3 miners. I'd have only 2 left. So, and he has a lot of spots where he could still have a flag, a bombed-in flag. So, and since I'm down in pieces, that's another reason I didn't want to take it with the miner. But the negative of taking it with the lieutenant is now I tell my opponent I have an open flag. And anytime you tell your opponent you have an open flag, that always gives them hope. They don't need their miners anymore. They can use their miners as scouts. And you'd like to keep this as a bombed-in structure so he comes over this way to this corner and doesn't come over this way because my flag's over here. I'd like him to target this. This spot here looks like a bombed-in flag if I don't move my lieutenant. So there were pros and cons, but I thought I needed the miners more, and I decided to tell him that I have an open flag. So now it's good that I have the 2 highest pieces on the board. We have to find his majors now. But after that, I have the colonel and a captain advantage. So we need to find the majors. So he's giving me this piece. This is probably a major, but I need to get as many small pieces as possible. He sacrificed his sergeant, so this is probably the major trying to get away. I don't think this is a major coming from the back row. We want to trap whatever this piece is. So we're gaining on them on the lower pieces. I decide, I think, to get this minor that I scouted earlier. This is risky, though, because this piece could move forward, but I'm thinking it might be asymmetrical bombs. This piece hasn't moved, and he had a bomb over here. So that's good. So now we're up a captain, a lieutenant, and a colonel. So I made this game much more difficult than it should have been. And see, this is where you wish you had 1 or 2 scouts left in an open flag game when the pieces are dwindling down. This is where he wished he had 2 or 3 scouts left. So that's why you want to save your scouts. I'd have a much harder time of defeating him if he had 2 or 3 scouts. So now we got a 2 lieutenant advantage. So this is probably his last major, and now I have to get something over here to protect the flag. So he still has 1 more captain, so I better get over there. Now I decide to move my minor up. This looks like a spot for a flag now. And this could be a spot for a bombed-in flag. Now I think he got confused here between my lieutenant and colonel. And now we're up 2 captains and 2 lieutenants. And he's running out of pieces. I could have trapped this piece with a captain, but I have to make sure, I still don't know if this piece can move or not. So that's why we didn't go forward with the captain. So there's a good chance now that this is the flag. And I like that. He gave it one more shot. And he only had 2 sergeants left. What did he have left? He had 2 sergeants and a minor left. So if we go back a little bit here, I'm not sure where they would be. Maybe this was one. Maybe I had a bombed-in sergeant and this was a flag. I don't know. But he had 3 pieces left, so he might have had 2 pieces here. I wish they would show the at the end of the game the board. But I had to keep this captain here just in case this or this, could move up here. I'd worry about this piece. But anyway, so we got the victory. We played real sloppy, so you don't want to do that when you get, like I said, when you get a big lead. Pause for a little bit, and hopefully your opponent quits, so you get an easy win. And then if they don't quit, then concentrate just as hard or even harder, because they're going to go in lotto mode. Most beginners are going to go in lotto mode. And even top players will go in lotto mode when they get behind. So play defense first, and then your victories will be a lot easier to accomplish. So that was game number 20. So we're now 19-1. And I hope you learned something in this game. And then I'll work on game number 21. We'll see how we do. Thanks for watching. Bye.